So we're here with Chandler. He's one of the personal injury attorneys that's at our seminar. And so we actually covered something real relevant to the attorney, which was the documentation that's necessary that's transferred into 4 injury award categories. So first, let me ask you this. I covered the 4 injury categories. Prior to coming today, how familiar were you with that there's 4 potential injury award categories from the soft tissue injury that you can get reimbursed on?
Not very familiar. I've been aware of some of those, but they've never really been explained.
Never real clear.
Right.
And of course, what we're talking about is most people are familiar with medicals. You were familiar with that, like most attorneys are. And then we explained how the impairment is compensated, right? Yep. That made sense, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then we went into pain and suffering. That makes sense. And then we went into especially the big one, which was the need for future care.
Yes.
Did that make sense? How all that documentation come together?
Yep.
And then we showed how each one of those categories, none of them brought you a policy limit award, but individually they were anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000. So when you added them up, right, it got up to $100,000. And that was for a real simple case that we presented, wasn't it?
It was.
What'd you think about that when you saw that?
Well,
because you're the one that's got to deliver that.
Right. So a lot of times attorneys are they get overwhelmed, and the thought of going to trial seems too big of a burden, and that's a lot because we often have to wear 2 hats, be the attorney and play doctor as well. We have to decipher some of these things that we didn't really go to school over, just like you guys did. So when I get some reports back, sometimes I don't have any background information, and for somebody like yourself to go ahead and do that work for me, it takes a really big load off my shoulders and lets me kind of move the case a lot farther than other
well,
times.
let me be specific. So really what we're talking about is the value of financial drivers. Do you have them or do you not? And that's, again, this is medical. It's not attorney language, so it's not really something you would be expected to know.
Right, exactly.
So if we can do that as the doctor, that helps you significantly.
Oh, yeah.
And then not only the value, the financial drivers, but how to organize and present the case. How important was that?
Oh yeah, it's invaluable. Yeah.
Now, and that's what I was asking earlier. I said, if you had a doctor that knew how to document the 5 categories and how to defend the pre-existing injury and the low-impact injury, the documentation for that,
yep,
and he knew how to present it in a narrative report, deposition, or testimony where he can tie in the mechanism of injury, the subjective, objective findings, the therapeutic protocol, the response to treatment, whether it's a MMI and a permanent injury, and the prognosis and the need for future care. In other words, he can hand you that documentation.
Oh, yeah.
How valuable is that?
Yeah, it makes me a lot more comfortable, and in a sense, you're kind of preparing me as opposed to me preparing you.
Right. Now, what's the likelihood of you going to court? Let's say you get that. What's the likelihood of you saying, if I get that information, I'm going to be way more willing to go for a policy limit?
Makes me more confident. Yeah.
Yeah. And let's say we explain the 5 financial drivers. So if we had all 5 financial driver categories, can you see if you had all 5 of those, and if you had a doctor who knew how to deliver that, you got a really good, you got a good case.
Presentable client, you got all that you need.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yep.
And of course, that's not what you're used to, is it?
No.
You're used to just getting pieces of notes and
piece of notes and myself piecing it together, and a lot of attorneys don't even do that. They shift it off to the insurance adjuster and let them do that work for them, which should have been done at the beginning.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks.